I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, calories don't count on Christmas or Thanksgiving. Can you do spicy? I do a little bit of spice, but if my nose starts running, that's too much spice. Like a death devil? I don't even know what that is. Oh, a dust devil? No, I don't well, I don't know. We'll find out though, because I have no idea.
Wednesday, May 25th, 1955. In the Central Plains of the United States, hundreds of communities in eastern Oklahoma were preparing for a
Are
long
you still
night of
acting?
severe weather. Throughout the day, reports of strong, scattered thunderstorms were coming in from the west side of the state. Many communities sent out warnings mentioning how these storms were some of the strongest they had ever encountered. This was all due to a low pressure system over the Oklahoma panhandle moving eastward, interacting with a north moving,
Ooh.
massive tropical air. These conditions led to an unstable environment that began to produce isolated and violent supercell thunderstorms. There were reports of strong lightning, huge gusts of wind, and even strong tornadoes. Near Aberdeen, Oklahoma, for example, a large wedge tornado with wind speeds near 200 miles per hour tore through the countryside, claiming 2 lives.
Oh,
This event was beginning to look like the major storm of the year, and warnings of this major storm continued to pour into the towns and cities in the eastern part of the state. One of these communities was the town of Blackwell, located in Kay County in northern Oklahoma. They had heard the warnings, they had heard the reports, but they didn't dwell too much on the information. It was May in Oklahoma, after all. Tornado threats come in practically every week. But unfortunately, this time would be different. Blackwell would encounter a tornado that night. This may sound like another tragic tornado story, and it is a very
on the
tragic tornado
truck.
story, but there is much more to this tornado than your typical tornado. You see, according to eyewitnesses, something strange happened that night. Something that even to this day, experts cannot fully explain. A natural phenomenon occurred with the Blackwell tornado that has never really been seen since. Apparently, this tornado glowed in the dark. What was it that caused the Blackwell supernatural ghost tornado? Who saw it? How did they describe it? And are there any similar events that might help prove that it actually occurred? Today, we are exploring the 1955 Blackwell, Oklahoma glowing ghost tornado.
That's cool. Like the haunted ship in games that appears at a certain time at night and then disappears. But it's a tornado.
It's now 7 in the evening, and the residents of Blackwell can see distant flashes of lightning to their southwest. Many at this time had just eaten supper and were now preparing for bed. Meanwhile, just north of Oklahoma City, a small blip appeared on the Stillwater radar. This blip was, at the time, just a small, isolated thunderstorm. But by 8 o'clock, the system had traveled significantly to the north and had developed into a large and dangerous supercell. Finally, at 9:26 p.m., a small tornado began to descend over rural Noble County, Oklahoma. Initially, this
And yeah, 3D, so don't judge. I mean, shoot, that looks great to me. That looks fun. You did a good job. You did a good job on this. Because I'm like, ooh, that tornado looks like it looks scary. You made it look scary. That's great. You did a good job. I approve.
small tornado had gone unnoticed by the nearby communities. It was now dark out, so the tornado could only be seen during brief flashes of lightning. The tornado continued to head straight north as it crossed into Kay County. By this point, it had strengthened significantly into a destructive monster, and directly in its path were the communities of Tonkawa and Blackwell. Now, of course, since it was night, the tornado could not be seen. No one even knew it was coming. It could only be discerned by sound. What sound does a tornado make? Well, those who have encountered nocturnal tornadoes describe the sound as a mix between an approaching freight train and a jet engine that just gets louder and louder the closer it gets. Something similar
Thank you
to
for the lyrics.
this. As the tornado approached Tonkawa, the residents who were still
Night, Kai.
awake could feel the rumble and hear the sound of something approaching. But fortunately for them, nothing would happen. The tornado just barely dodged the town to the east.
If that's
But still, in
accurate.
its
Oof.
path was the larger community of Blackwell. And in Blackwell, something strange was occurring in the atmosphere. With the storm and the tornado still off in the distance, some community members noticed curious arcs of light being released from pointed surfaces. Outside on telephone poles, strange mini beams of blue light were extending into the sky. Something very unusual was happening in the atmosphere, and it was causing a significant amount of St. Elmo's fire. A few moments
That was
later,
fine?
people began to hear the roar of the approaching tornado. But something with the tornado had changed. Even though it was dark out, according to eyewitnesses, the tornado could actually be seen. Mrs. Songsberg, located in the eastern part of Blackwell,
was
looked out her
fired?
living room
Oh.
window and saw the tornado. Incredibly, it was glowing in the dark. It was emitting light. She described it as continuous fork lightning in the shape of a snake's tongue ascending up into the tornado's funnel, giving the whole thing a bluish hue. This wasn't like a short burst of lightning. No, this was a constant blue glow.
It's crazy.
As she watched, the phantom tornado continuously got closer and closer to the town and her house. And before she knew it, it was right on top of her. She and her family quickly darted below ground as the powerful tornado tore through the eastern section of town. Homes were destroyed, cars and trees were flung high into the sky, and 20 people were killed.
Oh my gosh. Dang. That's a lot. It is one of those night tornadoes, though, even though it apparently glowed in the dark. Or glowed in the dark.
On top of the 20
Still at
fatalities,
night.
nearly 200 would suffer
People are
injuries.
sleeping.
Here are some of the witnesses to the event.
We have 16 apartments here. 12 of them are with us, and there's only 4 married couples living there besides.
Was anyone injured in the
Nobody was injured in that. We heard this year coming, and it just sounded like as they said, just a freight train, and we all got to the basement. And nobody was injured in it at all.
Well, do most of the homes here have basements in Blackwell?
Well, quite a
Yeah,
few
very
of them.
little warning.
Now, I have a son that lives in the 400 block. His house completely torn up, and he had a family of 3, and he and his wife and the babies just barely did make it to the basement when it demolished their house.
It's from the glass plant on east. Everything east of that is level, and the glass plant is gone. And those that are calling in, we only have one circuit, and we can't answer all the telephone calls. And that's why they wanted to be sure that everybody understood it. They could wait, and some of these people will notify. We will have it in tonight's papers, and it'll be on tonight's news, a complete list of everybody injured.
400 homes were completely destroyed, as well as 60 businesses, including important economic sites such as the Hazel Atlas glass plant. While the western part of the town was untouched, the eastern section near the river was wiped off the map. This newspaper showed the location of the fatalities. The tornado would later be given an F5 rating from Ted Fujita, the highest tornado rating possible, with an estimated wind speed of over 260 miles per hour. It remains one of the most powerful and tragic tornadoes in Oklahoma's history.
I wasn't ready for
But
that.
let's get back to that
gosh.
strange blue glow. While there have been more powerful tornadoes, more tragic tornadoes in the state's history, none of them have ever had some sort of strange blue glow to them. This is something that is completely unknown in meteorology. So did it actually happen? Perhaps Mrs. Songsberg was mistaken. Maybe she was just confused in the chaos. You might even think that she was making it up. Well, that's unlikely, as she wasn't the only person to see this strange
Yeah,
glowing
a lot of
effect.
people say
To the
it,
west of the
then.
funnel, a Mr. Montgomery saw a similar astonishing sight when he went out on his front porch. He described it as being extremely bright, so bright that it had to be obscured by clouds in order to get a proper view. He described the event like this. As the storm was directly east of me, the fire up near the top of the funnel looked like a child's 4th of July pinwheel. There were rapidly rotating clouds passing in front of the top of the funnel. These clouds were illuminated only by the luminous band of light. The light would grow dim when these clouds were in front, and then it would grow bright again when I could see between the clouds. As near as I can explain, I would say that the light was the same color as an electric arc welder, but much brighter. The light was so intense that I had to look away when there were no clouds in front of it. The light in the clouds seemed to be turning at a rate similar to that of a beacon in a lighthouse. I mean, that's bright. If you have to look
That's
away,
bright.
it's like looking at the sun. You know when like the clouds pass in front of the sun and you get that like silver disc effect? According to him, that was the only way he could observe this super bright blue light. But to further solidify the claim that this tornado glowed in the dark, we actually have yet another eyewitness. Lee Hunter, who is 4 miles north of Blackwell, also saw the glowing tornado after it destroyed the eastern section of Blackwell. He described the tornado as follows. The funnel from the cloud to the ground was lit up. It was a steady, deep blue light, very bright. It had an orange color fire in the center. As it came along my field, it took a swath of about 100 yards wide. As it swung from left to right, it looked like a giant neon tube in the air, or a flagman at a railroad crossing. As it swung along the ground level, the orange fire or electricity would gush out from the bottom of the funnel, and the updraft would take it up into the air, causing a terrific light. And then it was gone. Now, it's interesting that he mentioned an orange light, an orange glow to this tornado. This is something that we'll talk about later. Shortly after Lee Hunter saw the tornado, it dissipated. Unfortunately, this same supercell thunderstorm would go on to produce another strong tornado that destroyed the city of Udall, Kansas, one of the worst, most tragic tornado events in Kansas history.
You type impossibly fast. With accuracy. Your skin is so pale and sweaty. Your eyes turn red because of how long you look at the screen. You don't go outside to touch grass. How long have you been gaming? 5 hours. How long have you actually been gaming? A while. I know what you are. Say it. Out loud. Say it! A gamer. That's right. This is the skin of a gamer! This is the website where I go for my subs, my GamerSupps, and this is the code I use for checkout. Spit. It's like a coupon. It's wonderful. And you have the energy to play and focus on the games? It gives me so much energy. The energy and caffeine-free tubs are sugar-free, keto-friendly, and diabetic-safe. The Gamerade is a creatine plus hydration with 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, and key electrolytes to keep hydrated. Not only that, the AFK versions help aid in my body's natural sleep cycle too. It makes it even better when I use code SPIT at checkout to save money. So what kind of flavors are there? There's Crimson Moonburst, a strawberry candy flavor, Klaxosaurus Blood, a kiwi watermelon, and After Hours, blackberry and cherry flavor. Those sound succulent. I'll be sure to use code SPIT at checkout. I want to be a gamer like you.
So we have 3 accounts of this glowing ghost tornado, making it likely that something strange really did occur during the 1955 Blackwell tornado. By the way, all these various accounts come from a Journal of Meteorology article in 1957, in case you're looking for the source. The only problem, why hasn't a similar phenomenon been seen since? Seriously, there are so many storm chasers right now. People have been heavily documenting tornadoes since the late 90s, so surely someone would have seen something similar. Well, to be fair, most storm chasers don't really chase tornadoes in the dark because you can't see them, but still, people do chase nocturnal tornadoes.
You can see
So
if they're
have there
fake
been
news.
any other similar instances? Actually, kind of. And this time, we have a photo.
Oh.
During the April 11th, 1965 Palm Sunday tornado outbreak, probably the 3rd worst tornado outbreak in
We
the
did watch
past
that
100 years. In fact, one could almost call it a super outbreak. But during that tornado outbreak, there were 18 F4 tornadoes that took the lives of 266 individuals as they tore through sections of the Midwest and Southeast. Some of the more notable tornadoes include the Dunlap, Indiana F4, the Midway, Indiana F4 with this iconic photograph, and the Kokomo, Indiana F4. But another tornado, the Toledo, Ohio F4, apparently also featured strange lights and a glowing funnel. Just like with Blackwell 10 years earlier, this tornado also occurred at night around 9 p.m. According to a 1966 Science magazine article titled Luminous Phenomena in Nocturnal Tornadoes, 3 different observers saw a strange glowing phenomenon associated with the Toledo, Ohio F4, and one of them got a picture. Behold, a photo of a glowing tornado.
That's like the glow around it? Doesn't even look like a tornado.
Okay, what are we looking at here?
I
Well,
don't
this photo was captured by a professional photographer named Jim Weyer. It was actually the second photo taken in a series of 3 photos at different angles. There's a lot of controversy around this photo, but it is legit. In fact, it's even been featured in several official National Weather Service documents. Some believe it's supposed to depict 2 twin funnels that are glowing in the dark right next to each other. Others believe that this central part is the actual tornado and that the sides are glowing. I am personally in this camp because if you look towards the base of the tornado, you kind of see what appears to be debris coming from the main central funnel. Like, when you get dirt on the ground, that's what it kind of looks like to me. Now, Jim Ware was a legit professional photographer. There's no way that he altered this photo, and clearly he did capture something strange. In fact, this photo was actually featured in Life magazine. The question is, was the tornado actually glowing or was it just illuminated by lightning? To me, it looks like it's kind of glowing, because why would lightning create this spotlight effect?
Yeah, because also, I mean, this looks very straight cylinder. So I'm like, is that the tornado? But there couldn't be like 2 twin tornadoes. That's what I was thinking. Like, it's the lights around it, because it forms more so of a wedge. That's what I'm thinking.
I couldn't actually find
So
the
the dark is
statement
the tornado,
from Jim Wire himself,
basically.
but he wasn't the only person to see it that night.
That's what I
Another
see.
eyewitness of the glowing tornado, Marcella Benson, described the event like this. "We thought we saw searchlights all around us, but there were no light beams shooting up to the
And you just said that looks like searchlights, and they said it looks like searchlights. It does look like them.
clouds. The lights darting around in the clouds were sort of luminous and appeared to be more round in shape than anything else. Also, they were quite large. The lights were not as bright as a stroke of lightning, but they were above a dense layer of clouds, and bluish white in color. We did not have much stroke lightning, and I do not recall hearing thunder. Our electricity was knocked out at 9:32 p.m., and that is when we saw one black funnel. The reason we could see it is because there was a slight glow coming from the sides of it. It came from due west." That last part of her statement, the reason we could see it is because there was a slight glow coming from the sides of it, sounds a lot like what Jim Wire could have captured in his photograph. I mean, that's exactly what it looks like. The other thing is that she mentions searchlights. She mentions light beams going up into the sky, which also kind of looks like this. By the way, there are at least 3 more accounts that I could find describing luminous phenomenon during this event. Although in all the recorded interviews from the time of the event that I watched, none of them ever reported or mentioned a glowing funnel.
Did you hear anything before it hit? Any big sound, or did you see any black funnel?
I didn't see anything. We were inside the house, as I said, and I did see the front wall of the house coming at me, of course, when it let loose, but nothing outside. And as far as noise was concerned, we heard a roar.
Interestingly, one kid did describe hearing a buzzing sound. Could this buzzing sound be some sort of electrical phenomenon?
That's what I'm thinking.
What happened?
Well, I heard this buzzing noise, and I said, what is that? And then the house blew over, and I was buried in the woods, and it fell on my chest.
The whole house just caved right in on top of you?
Yes.
Did you see any black funnel that's usually associated with tornadoes?
No.
Just heard that big wind, is that it?
Dude,
Yeah.
the house fell in.
Well, thanks a lot, young fella.
Hi, Brian.
So this specific event definitely adds to the credibility of the Blackwell tornado and glowing tornadoes in general. It just very much bothers me that there really hasn't been anything seen since. And cameras, like I said, are everywhere today. I mean, maybe it really is just that rare of a phenomenon. Maybe there are too many LED lights all over the place now, so we can't see it because it's just so faint. There is a lot of skeptics out there that don't believe the claims that these people truly saw a glowing tornado in the dark, but I want to believe. So how could such a phenomenon actually happen in nature? How can a tornado create a glowing effect? Well, let's get to the theories. The first theory is that these reported sightings from both Toledo and Blackwell were actually just power flashes. I'm sure many of you are familiar with power flashes, but these are bright blue explosions at the base of tornadoes. They occur when a
Oh, okay, it zoomed down. It's like my head's in the way.
tornado destroys some electrical infrastructure, such as a transformer
I was gonna say
or
transformer.
power lines. These are very common. Like, they occur every few seconds when a tornado is tearing through an urban area. They are very brief, but they do sometimes feature several flickers that could, maybe make the event seem more dramatic than it is. So was it a power flash? I don't think so. The next theory is static electricity. This one's interesting. Perhaps tornadoes that exhibit electrical phenomena are in a very rare and specific atmospheric condition, an atmospheric condition that is favorable for static electricity. You know, when it's like wintertime and super dry out and you're like super staticky all over because of just the atmosphere.
Tell me all about it. I get it from my chair and it's enough static to turn off my computer. This is the ghost tornado. Hi, Brutal. Hi. How are you? Hope you've been doing well. Yeah, luckily I don't have that problem.
It's very favorable for
The thing is, it would have to be like really dry. Yeah, it saves my PC by existing. It would have to be like really dry and like low humidity. So I wonder how like it was those 2 days.
electricity. Maybe that's what happened with these tornadoes. Maybe they were just in an environment with a lot of dust particles, and those dust particles were smashing off of each other, building up a static charge that then created a glowing effect that was faint, but still there. The final theory is kind of connected to static electricity, and that is that glowing tornadoes are caused by St. Elmo's fire. This is when small pointy objects can ionize the air, creating plasma. It is seen with ship masses out over water all the time. It's also seen with pointed church steeples. All you need is to have like a pointed, sharp structure for it to occur. This theory is strengthened by the fact that there were many descriptions of St. Elmo's fire in Blackwell before the tornado occurred. So remember, tornado storms are massive, huge energy conductors. They have electrical charges everywhere. I mean, lightning, hello, it's electric. Sometimes supercell thunderstorms are so electrically charged that you can get a strobe effect with lightning. This is when there's just lightning almost constantly flashing all around. In theory, when a tornado descends towards the ground, it can act like a preferred conducting path, which in turn creates a strong electrical field. For this reason, it's possible that maybe some of the debris in the tornado, if it's shaped in like a pointy way, could create St. Elmo's fire. Like what if, I'm just speculating, I'm kind of going off script a little bit here, but like what if the tornado hit like a needle factory and there's needles flying all around the that sounds awful. That sounds awful, but just stay with me. All those needles can create St. Elmo's fire, giving it a glowing effect. This effect is usually blue, similar to what eyewitnesses claim to have seen. Wait, there was that glass factory that was destroyed. Wait a second. Hold on a second.
Oh, are we finding out stuff?
The Hazel Atlas Glass Company was a major glass manufacturer that created bottles that was destroyed during the Blackwell, Oklahoma tornado. Wait a second.
That would
Can
kind
glass
of
create St.
work.
Elmo's fire? Oh my word. It can't. Wait, okay. I don't know why I'm off the script, but think about it, all right?
That's fine.
Glass can create St. Elmo's fire. You destroy a glass bottle company. Hello, broken glass is sharp. And then it like glowed in the air.
Yeah, and then they're reflecting. So all that glass is reflecting constantly. So that's why it's not constantly flashing. It was just a solid light.
Boom.
Let's go.
Maybe not. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the
that
comments.
makes sense.
By the way, moving back on script, St. Elmo's fire can also create a red glowing effect. Like check out this video right here. See how there's red flashing as well with the St. Elmo's fire? Perhaps that's why some people noticed a flame effect. We know vortices can create electrical discharges. Dust devils have done it, blowing snow has done it, and believe it or not, we have even seen it on Mars with dust devils. We've even recorded the sound of these little electrical charges. Take a listen.
I haven't even known.
Now, some people believe that maybe ball lightning was involved. That's a little bit more far-fetched, although I will say that the possibility of ball lightning seems to be more and more likely as we see more and more footage. Maybe it was headlights. The Rolling Fork, Mississippi EF4 tornado featured something that looked kind of like headlights, but that really wouldn't light up the entire tornado. One way you could actually 100% create a glowing tornado is if your tornado has radioactive debris in it. Highly radioactive particles do emit a blue glow because they're so radioactive that they tear apart atmospheric particles and molecules that then give off a blue light.
Did it hit a radioactive factory too? Can you look that up for us?
This blue glow can be seen in mushroom clouds. Check it out.
Oh. Well,
That is definitely not what happened in Blackwell, so we can scratch that
right.
theory off the list. So what is my personal theory? I'm thinking that it was a rare case of St. Elmo's fire. That glass factory idea just, I don't know, it kind of makes sense to me. I'm thinking that a glowing luminous phenomenon does occur very rarely in tornadoes, and I'm thinking that we're probably going to see some legit footage of it soon. But yes, that's just my theory. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. If you remember, be sure to check out a new members only video where I try to find lost ancient tornado scars in forests via Google Earth. If you're interested in that, you should become a member. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for the research. But the glass thing makes complete sense to me. Yeah. That makes the most sense to me. So I love how he kind of thought about it during his recording. He's like, no, I'm not starting over. I'm just going to put this in here. I'm just putting this in here. Dang. That's really cool. Really, really cool.